Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm 15.
Hi, I'm Jansu. I'm 16. Now we will tell you about children's rights, which are very important to us and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which describes our rights.
Millions of children live in different countries around the world. We're actually a very large group. Sometimes you may think, hooray, so glad I am a child. Or sometimes you may say, I wish I wasn't a child. What is it like to be a child? Playing games all the time? I don't think so. Not being responsible for anything? Not at all. My responsibilities are countless, and somehow the adults love to count them. Well, studying all the time, for some of us, I guess, or is being a child just means preparing for the future. Because everyone is always wondering what I will be in the future. Sometimes even more than me. But I don't think that's it either. So, what does it mean to be a child? The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child tells us to us. The convention sets out the right that all children worldwide must have to grow up well, safely, freely, and healthily. This international document has been adopted by the largest number of countries in the world so far. 196 countries have ratified this convention, and they recognize everyone up to the age of 18 as a child. Turkey is one of these countries. On November 20, 1989, the United Nations opened the convention for signature. That's why November 20 is celebrated as International Children's Rights Day. Turkey signed the convention in 1990 and thus promised to guarantee the rights of all children in the country. So, what is involved in this convention? Do you wonder? Here we go.
The convention is founded on 4 basic principles. The first of these is that no discrimination among children is allowed. That is, children's rights are for all children, no matter where they were born, the language they speak, their gender, their religious beliefs, or the color of their skin. Also, you can't discriminate children because of their family's financial situation, beliefs, or opinions. Secondly, the child's best interests must be the priority in every situation. Well, what does this mean? Those who make laws and practices about children must primarily consider the best interests of children. I mean, of us. The state takes steps to make people who protect and care for children fulfill their responsibilities. The third principle ensures all children's right to live and develop. The primary responsibility of children's families, the adults around them, and the state is to protect children's lives and promote their healthy development. The last of the 4 fundamental principles is about child participation. According to this principle, every child can express their views freely. They have the right to participate in decisions on all matters that affect them. All adults are responsible for listening to children, taking their opinions seriously, and respecting them. Of course, children's rights do not end here. These principles are the basis for other rights in the convention. The state is primarily responsible to exercise and implement all these rights. It must ensure that children benefit from their rights. It must support the people responsible for children's care and help children exercise their rights freely. Yet, both state, family, and the whole society should make every effort. Of course, we children are also responsible for realizing our rights.
So, what rights do we have in the convention? It's countless: education, health, shelter, plays, but first, personal identity. Every child has the right to have a personal identity. I'm talking about all of us having a name and citizenship. Imagine if we didn't have names, wouldn't life be tough? That's why the state registers a child's name when they are born and gives each child an identity. The names that are given to us, the citizenship right, and protection of family ties are very important. None of these can be forcefully changed or taken away from us. Who would have the right to take away our personal identity? It is our fundamental right to live well and safe, but sometimes the people responsible for our care and protection may not do this well. In that case, the state may need to provide care and protection services so we are not harmed and can live in better conditions. But we must always remember that we have the right to regularly meet our family. Also, if our parents are separated and live in different homes, cities, or even different countries, we have the right to see both of them. States are responsible for making this easy. Also, no one could take us anywhere without our parents' permission. They cannot take us abroad too. They cannot even think of such a thing. The state must protect us from anyone who dares to think of doing such a thing. We have many more rights. Let's continue telling. For example, speaking of telling, we all have the right to express our thoughts freely. But remember, while exercising this right, we also need to respect the rights of others. You know, we also have the right to gather with our friends to express ourselves, to become a member of associations, and even to found an association. And children have the right to choose the religion they want and the right to be guided by their parents in this choice. You see, being a child is not something summarized with a few words. We have so many rights. Let's keep telling.
Like adults, we have the right to demand respect for our private lives. In other words, no one can go through our personal stuff that we don't want to share with anyone, like our diary, our phone, our bag, our room without our permission. In addition, no one can share our photographs anywhere without our permission. Just like our other rights, this right is also protected by law. Another one of our rights is the right to access reliable information and age-appropriate media. States know the importance of newspapers, radio, television, the internet, and digital media for our development. But they also have to protect us from any harm. We too have the right to access any information and documents we want in a way that does not affect us negatively. This right is also essential for us to live our own culture. You may have noticed that the state has a big responsibility to ensure that we enjoy our rights. For example, if, for some reason, our caregivers fail to take care of us or mistreat us, the state must warn them and take steps to protect us. The state is also responsible for searching and finding the best family to adopt or foster the children who cannot live with their family. Sometimes children may have to migrate to other countries, either alone or with their families, because of difficulties in their home countries. We have rights for such cases too. The host countries have to protect all rights of these children. The Convention also includes children with special needs. Some of us may be born with disabilities or become disabled later. We may have physical or mental differences. Our differences do not discriminate us from other children. It just means that we have different needs for equal participation in life and living independently. The state should consider these needs and make sure that we all enjoy our rights to care, education, and accessibility. Of course, all children are unique and special. States must give all children the best possible healthcare for the different health services they need. We need access to vaccines, medicines, doctors and hospitals, clean water, food, and a natural environment so that we don't get sick and be healthy. The state must provide all the necessary conditions for us to live a better life. You may have wondered where our right to education is. Here it is. Primary education must be accessible and compulsory for all children. Just like our other rights, the right to education should be provided without discrimination. Of course, in this education, children also need to learn what they are interested in. It should also be an education that builds children's respect for their own and other cultures, human rights, and nature.
We may also face a situation like this. There may be children who speak a language different from that of the country they live in, and who have different cultures, religions, and beliefs. In that case, the state has to make the necessary arrangements for the children to benefit from the right to education. Also, an educational institution should be a place where you both exercise your right to education and learn all about your rights. What about our right to leisure and play? We need playgrounds, children's centers, libraries, and centers of sport, culture, and art to spend our free time and develop ourselves. And of course, we should access these places easily. For our development, we have the right to play games and participate in different activities in which we are interested. Also, no one can force us to work at any job. However, after the age of 15, if we want to, we can work in some jobs specified in the law. But these jobs should not have a negative impact on our lives, development, and education. Of course, there are regulations in the Convention about acts that harm us too. The state, family, and society have a responsibility to protect us from harmful substances, abuse, violence, sexual harassment, and human trafficking. If such a situation occurs, the state must protect us and give the necessary punishment to those who do this. But there are things we may do as well. If we think we are being mistreated, abused, or we are subject to violence, we should ask for support by telling it to an adult we trust, such as our teacher. One of our rights as children is that our freedom should not be taken away from us under any circumstances, even if we have acted against the law. The judicial process and the decisions to be taken in court must first take into account the children and be appropriate for their development. Instead of imprisoning children, protective and supportive measurements should be considered. Our other right is to be protected from armed conflict. Unfortunately, societies do not always live in peace. Conflicts arise, and they even go to war with each other. But we all have the right to live in peace and be protected from war. Also, no one should even consider recruiting children to fight in war. Children must be specially protected in conflict situations. If children are harmed by reasons such as abuse, violence, mistreatment, conflict, or war, the responsible should carry out efforts to rehabilitate them. Measures should be taken to ensure that they are never harmed in the same way again. The state is responsible for making the whole society learn the rights in this convention. Just as we are telling you now, the state needs to tell all children and adults about children's rights.
There is also a committee that monitors this convention internationally. It is called the Committee on the Rights of the Child. State and non-governmental organizations report separately to this committee about the situation on children's rights in the country. For this, they also take the views of children. With the reports, the committee monitors children's rights in that country and gives recommendations for improvement. Children have so many rights, don't they? And we have explained these rights in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child to you. There are many more things you can learn about this convention. For example, there are 3 additional documents attached to the convention. First document explains the rights of children in conflict situations. The second describes the child's rights regarding protection from sexual abuse. The last one is the newest. It is about children who feel that their rights are violated and who cannot find a solution in their country. They can apply to the United Nations. The convention evolves according to developments in the world and the needs of children. For example, digital tools have become part of our lives, so there is now an additional document that regulates our rights in the digital world. There is also another document on the climate crisis that includes children's views. As our lives change, so do our rights. We want a childhood where adults fulfill their responsibilities and we can fully enjoy our rights. If we feel that we can't exercise some of our rights, we can get support from our families, schools, and different state institutions. We are also responsible for demanding that our rights be implemented.